Welcome back to Cannabis Coast to Coast News. This is the C Block, our final section of our weekly show. I'm Elena Pinto. Missouri has been one of the most successful rollouts of an adult use state. The Show Me State has a vibrant market, open and functioning social consumption lounges, and outdoor events all operating without major incidents. One major personality on the Missouri scene over the past 10 years is a former Navy veteran, radio personality, elected official, and entrepreneur named Daniel Waxy Jones. 2 years ago, he was a guest on one of the longest running shows on pro cannabis media, the Green Rush Live program, that was produced for 3 years and over 150 episodes. Brandon Jones has more from his beloved home state and the sudden passing of a friend of his and the state's community.
Hey everybody, it's Brandon Jones with Big Green Distribution with the Missouri Cannabis Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. And yes, this week is a very somber and tough week for us here in Missouri. If you haven't been on social media or seen, if you don't follow the cannabis world, you've probably already seen this, but Daniel Waxy Brown has passed away. He felt like he was having little panic attacks through the day, and it felt like he basically had a cardiac arrest in his consumption lounge and passed away at 47 years old. For those of you that don't know who Daniel Waxy Brown Jones was, he was, first of all, a soldier. He was a Navy veteran. He served 8 years. He was an intel photographer and went in with Iraqi freedom and was in Iraq. He also ran for council office in his city and was elected only to get kicked out of office for having been arrested for a nonviolent cannabis crime. He has been an advocate here in the state, speaking out for so many at the state legislature, at numerous events. Anywhere he was, Daniel spoke for plant medicine over pill medicine. It started when he saw all the veterans going through the pain that they were going through and seeing 22 commit suicide a day. He became a strong advocate to get people off of all of the drugs that they were being given after they were getting out of the military and not given enough support, and was trying to get more advocacy to get access to cannabis to veterans as well as all in the community. He just opened his own consumption lounge in his hometown of Rolla, Missouri. Last Saturday was supposed to be his first huge show, with Mendo Dope coming all the way to perform cannabis culture inside his cannabis consumption lounge. And yes, it still did go on in his honor, but it was his dream that had come to fruition in his home state that he unfortunately did not get to see. He was a big fan of the Grateful Dead and a fun lover of tie-dye, and always was in great colors and that. So I have been wearing this in tribute to my best friend that is no longer here. So for all those out there, hug your loved ones. Make sure that you tell those people that you care about them. And one thing that, Waxy would be extremely proud on, and yes, I'm supposed to be in doing news, is there was 150,000 people that we have left out of jail here for cannabis expungement. Expungement has reached 150,000 in the state of Missouri. I'm sorry, I can't speak very well right now, but that's something Daniel will be extremely proud of, that those people are getting out of jail for nonviolent cannabis crimes, and that has reached 150,000 in the state of Missouri. I don't think that number would be there if it wasn't for Daniel and people like him standing up for what people should have and not be in jail for a nonviolent crime smoking plant. I wish I had 4 hours to talk, but we will be doing a show thanks to Jimmy and the kind people at Pro Cannabis Media in Waxy's honor on July 30th. He does have a GoFundMe page to help his family and his friends. So if you could please join us on July 30th, we will be doing a show for Waxy in his honor with some people from the Courage and Cannabis books as well. He was also written about in that book with his change and his advocacy. So again, I'm Brandon Jones. Morning here in Missouri. Pro Cannabis Media's Coast to Coast News. Have a great day.
The live special celebrating Waxy Jones's life and influence on the cannabis community of Missouri will be live on Wednesday, July 30th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific Coast time. We'll have registration details next week on Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Next up, the state of Maryland, where growing pains are starting, including some bad actors who are violating state regulations. Here's Christopher Bright in Maryland.
I'm Christopher Bright from The Enlightened Voice. Welcome to Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'll be bringing you the latest cannabis headlines from Maryland. A surprise inspection by the MCA has landed Sears Natural in hot water. The September 2023 inspection at their Spectrum Drive facility uncovered multiple violations of Maryland's Cannabis Reform Act. Issues included an improper sublease with Patriot Medical Laboratories, raising concerns about operational control. The company also failed to maintain proper security protocols with inadequate visitor logs and supervision. Additionally, inspectors found outdated cannabis products not properly segregated and poor equipment sanitation records. Sears Natural has entered a consent order with the MCA agreeing to fix these issues and operate under stricter oversight to ensure compliance in Maryland's growing cannabis market. And now we have our content creator of the week. I would like to shine a spotlight on Jordan, aka Joe's Canico. Jo is an inspiration to all chronic illness warriors. Even though she suffers from occipital neuralgia, she has not let that stop her from pursuing her dreams. From showcasing what strains help her condition, showing some of her favorite books, or just spreading awareness, Jo is a multifaceted content creator. Definitely check her out on IG at Joe's Canico and read Jo books. And that's all for this week's Maryland Cannabis Report. I'm Christopher Bright from The Enlightened Voice, reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
It was a historic week in New Jersey where the Garden State issued its first 4 licenses for consumption lounges. 2 of them are going to be located in Atlantic City, which could turn into a major attraction for that coastal resort and casino community. Here's more from the Garden State with Jill Goldsberry.
Hey, Jill Goldsberry here with Cannabis Coast to Coast News, and there's big news out of New Jersey this week. For the first time ever, Cannabis Regulatory Commission, the cannabis regulators have officially approved on-site cannabis consumption for New Jersey. I know, I can't believe it either. But 4 dispensaries have gotten the go-ahead, High Rollers in Sunny Tiana, Atlantic City, also another dispensary called Ginseng out of Mercantile, and Urban out of Newark just got the green light from the Cannabis Regulatory Commission to have on-site consumption. And the best thing is all 4 of these dispensaries are diversity owned. They are minority, women owned, veteran, and disabled owned dispensaries. And the chairwoman, Diana Hugh out of the Cannabis Regulatory Commission said that this is a milestone and that these spaces are going to provide legal, safe options for cannabis consumption. And we are all about that. So if you're looking for a place to consume, check out one of these places because they're all available for you to consume. In other news, if you're looking for wellness events to add into your cannabis consumption, I've got several that you want to check out. There is a Cape May event coming up, Cape May Beach event coming up with Butter Cake. Also, Liberty State Park is hosting the Butter Cake Yoga and Cannabis event coming up all within the next few weeks. So if you go to their website, go to their Instagram, you can check out those events, and you can also tell them that you are looking to, do some more cannabis consumption in a healthy space. So I'm Jill Goldsberry with Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
One state that is always in the news when it comes to their medical market is Oklahoma. First, they overissued licenses. Then they fell victim to foreign national illegal operations. And now they have started to collect signatures to get the adult use legalization issue on the next election ballot. Kimmy Cannabis is right in the middle of the scene in her state. And here's her report for this week.
I am Kimmy Cannabis from Can I Talk About It with the Oklahoma Cannabis Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Oklahoma's medical cannabis industry is facing ongoing disruption, with many businesses forced to close and others barely hanging on. Recently, a series of OMMA system glitches and confusing messages have added even more pressure to the mix. From the Verify system going down, leaving dispensaries unable to verify patient licenses, to sending out an update asking dispensaries to disregard inspection notices accidentally. Then, most recently, OMMA warned commercial licensees about a scam email impersonating the agency's executive director. The fraudulent message promoted a fake auction for seized cannabis products, an event that has never existed. OMMA reminded everybody that their emails will never come from a temporary or unofficial accounts. If you receive anything questionable, report it immediately. But now, let's switch it up to some good vibes. One of the most anticipated cannabis events in the state is just around the corner. Terp Float Festival 2025 is going down July 31st through August 3rd in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, and it's bringing the true summer energy. Picture this, floating the scenic Illinois River by day, live music pumping from multiple stages, art, lights, and camping experience like no other. The best of Oklahoma's cannabis brands, local craft vendors, and delicious food trucks lining the path. Whether you're coming for the music, the float, or the full-blown cannabis community experience, this is where you want to be. Don't miss your chance to vibe out with the best of the best. Grab your passes now at turpfloatoklahoma.com and let the countdown begin. That's it for the Oklahoma Cannabis Report. Peace, love, and all that good stuff.
Hi, I'm Christina Brisson with Over the Top Renovations with your weekly Ohio Cannabis Report with Cannabis Coast to Coast News. This week's update is about the political situation here in Ohio. Senate Bill 56 was supposed to have been voted on the last 2 weeks, however was removed from the agenda once and canceled on the other. Republican Brian Stewart has said that they're going to push pause and take a break over the summer and come back at it and see if they can figure out how to get some approvals. Other Republicans have said if they could get a clean bill that was just about intoxicating hemp products or about cannabis reform, then this bill could have passed already. And then Representative Stephanie Gross has said that 3,000 hemp businesses will close if SB 56 passes as it's currently written. So there's definitely a lot to talk about, a lot of changes to come, and a reason they took a break. Some people are very upset we're not going to see any movement over the summer, but in other times I would say maybe right now isn't the best time to pull that trigger given everything that's against what voters wanted. I am Christina Brisson with your weekly Ohio update with Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
The topsy-turvy nature of cannabis stocks continues, but there are few categories on Wall Street that are more volatile than the publicly traded cannabis stocks. Is it time to jump in or get out? Every week, Doug Miller keeps an eye on them all in his High on Wall Street segment. Here he is.
I'm Doug Miller from High on Wall Street with this week's Cannabis Stock Report for Cannabis Coast to Coast News. Cannabis stocks just blast past the market and ran up 14% this past month compared to just 3.5% for the S&P 500. And what's fueling the fire? One word: rescheduling. Federal cannabis rescheduling could finally be on deck. With the budget bill passed and global tensions easing, President Trump may turn to domestic wins to get young and swing state voters ahead of the midterms. Rescheduling cannabis from Schedule 1 to 3 could unlock major benefits like tax relief for dispensaries and banking access for the whole entire industry. No more cash-only operations, credit cards, loans, and legit financial services could flood in. But that's not all. There's a double bottom in the chart signaling a possible breakout. A new DEA head could speed up reform. 87% of Americans support legalization. Trump allies are pushing hard for reform, and athletes like Mike Tyson and Kevin Durant are demanding action. So let's see what the cannabis ETF MSOS stock chart looks like. It's trading around $2.54, and it recently ran up, and it just has a little bit of healthy pullback right now. So watch for these dips because it's going to be setting up soon. And that's this week's Cannabis Stock Report. Reporting for Cannabis Coast to Coast News, I'm Doug Miller.
While the U.S. Congress continues to try to close the loophole in the 2018 Farm Bill that allowed hemp to be grown for uses beyond fiber, that hemp plant evolved into a $1 billion market when products were created that took advantage of that legal definition of 0.3% THC infused in products. Now, a new legal definition of hemp is in the hands of the Health and Human Services Agency, who is being charged with coming up with exactly what is the quantifiable amount of THC farmers will be allowed to grow legally and put into products. Market predictions were released this week in a report by Astute Analytical that show growth in the hemp industry to reach $33 billion by the year 2033. One southern state that no one ever thought would embrace the cannabis plant is Kentucky. And that has changed now that their governor, Andy Beshear, has led his state into the world of medicinal cannabis. Here's our new Kentucky correspondent, Robin Alford.
I'm Robin Alford coming at you with the Kentucky Cannabis News. This week, we had a historic week. Armory, Kentucky, Tier 2 level cultivator had a shipment of baby plants to arrive at their facility in Mayfield. This is historic. This is the first time we've had legal cannabis shipped into Kentucky. And they're hoping to have the product ready on the shelf by probably early November. And that will help a lot of patients. So this is Robin Alford coming at you with the Kentucky Cannabis Report, coming at you with Cannabis Coast to Coast News.
And finally, credit for this one goes out to Steve Bloom and the Celeb Stoner newsletter. The former High Times editor has endorsed a respected journalist named Javier Hasse as High Times' next editor-in-chief. Javier had been with Benzinga for a number of years and is well respected in the international cannabis journalism community. Right now, he is carrying the title as acting editor-in-chief, but the new owner of High Times, Josh Kesselman, texted Steve this week to confirm the appointment of Hasse as the acting editor and is a part of the new transitional team at High Times that is going through a renaissance under new ownership. It will be interesting to watch what the transition team initiates as that legendary brand comes out of receivership. But that's this week's Cannabis Coast to Coast News. I'm Elena Pinto. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. Consume it responsibly, and we will see you next week.